What's going on, everyone? Welcome into the FantasyPros Dynasty Football Podcast presented by Reality Sports Online. My name is Kyle. Yes, my voice just cracked. That was super embarrassing, but we were just going to keep moving.
It was just upward inflection, you know? It was just a little flare.
That's really what we're going with. This is my third podcast of the day already. It is not even 1:30, so I don't judge me for anything that I may or may not say. Anyway, that is Trevor Sikkema. He can be found on Twitter at Tampa Bay Trey. Trev, welcome into the podcast, brother. How are we doing?
I am doing great. This is my first podcast of the day, so where you are all warmed up, maybe I'm just kind of coming in and I'm just like the fresh legs at this point. Maybe we're just like the podcast by committee, and that's kind of how it feels at this moment. So maybe I'll be able to pick it up where you might have a little bit of slack with this being your third podcast of the day.
You're going to need to carry us, brother. You're going to need to carry us. I'm just putting that out there right now. You're going to need to carry us. You need to be prepared for that.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, so super fun show today. We've got a Dynasty startup mock draft, all right? So we are going to get into this right away here. We're going to not waste any time. We're going to get into it. Super excited for this one. We've got the 1 QB format here, 3 running back, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, 2 flex, and then 14 bench spots. All right, so we are going 24 total roster spots here. Typically, Dynasty leagues are going a little bit deeper than that, but for the purposes of this show, we're just going to keep it short and sweet here because we got, again, 24 rounds that we have to get through. All right, Trev, you have the 101 pick here.
Yeah, I do.
have got the 108. All right, so let's just get rolling here. Let's get right into this. I'm going to start the draft here.
Whew.
And before we get into the... Go ahead.
No, that was like a Ric Flair weird little like woo that I was like excited about this.
Before we get into the start of the the mock draft, I want to remind you that we have a giveaway going on courtesy of our friends at Pristine Auction. That is a Cam Akers signed helmet. Go over to Apple Podcasts or CastBox, leave a review for this show, then go over to fantasypros.com/dynasty contest, fill out the short form there, attach a screenshot of your review to be entered into that giveaway. Additionally, if you are a subscriber to our YouTube channel over at youtube.com/fantasypros, you get an additional 3 entries into this giveaway. Attach a screenshot that you are subscribed to the YouTube channel with your entry again over at fantasypros.com/dynasty contest, and you'll get some more information there as well. Also, dovetailing off of that, with our YouTube channel, we have our Fantasy Fest that is going on this Thursday, the 19th. So if you're listening to this on Wednesday or even Thursday, stop listening, go over to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/fantasypros. We are going to be live from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern, giving you a ton of fantastic guests, ton of fantastic information. Again, that is our Fantasy Fest over at youtube.com/fantasypros. Trev, I've talked a lot. You have the 101 pick. Who are you going with here?
Christian McCaffrey. I mean, like,
yeah, I figured that was going to be
there. It just has to be Christian McCaffrey. When you look at the other running backs that are there, they're nice, but it's like that Family Guy scene where it'd say, hey, a boat's a boat, but the mystery box could be anything. Could even be a boat. That's how I feel about Christian McCaffrey. I mean, he's clearly the one guy here for Dynasty formats.
Yeah, man. I felt like I could do the promos there because the 101 probably wasn't going to take a ton of analyzing there. So, yeah. All right. So we saw guys like Dalvin Cook, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, Alvin Kamara, and Devontae Adams go off the board in between that. So I am now up here at the 108, and I love to start these drafts with a running back. There is a stud running back still here on the board. This is a half PPR format, but Nick Chubb here, still incredibly valuable.
Yep.
So I'm going to go Nick Chubb here at the 108, and then we'll see what happens after that. All right, so after Nick Chubb, we got Ezekiel Elliott going off the board, Tyreek Hill, Antonio Gibson, Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs, A.J. Brown, Calvin Ridley, and Aaron Jones. I am now back up on the clock at the 205. Got some stud wide receivers here. I got DK Metcalf staring me in the face. I've got Travis Kelce. Even if I wanted to go in a win now window, I could go Travis Kelce here. I'm not going to go that route, though. I'm going to build on the running back position. I'm going to go Najee Harris here. We've got the young running back stud here. Najee Harris going to see a ridiculous workload. That is what we are banking on as the cornerstone of my dynasty roster. So Najee Harris here at the 205. Welcome to the squad.
All right, so now I get the back-to-back. This is exciting. Who are some guys who are left on the board? DK Metcalf's gone. DeAndre Hopkins gone. George Kittle off the board. Patrick Mahomes just went to the first. Quarterback just went off the board. We got guys like DeAndre Swift, J.K. Dobbins, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Joe Mixon. Wide receivers, we got CeeDee Lamb. We got Jamar Chase. All right, so I got back-to-back picks here, so it's not like I'm waiting too long and then having players get off the board. So one of my selections is going to be CeeDee Lamb. Yep. I love CeeDee Lamb, and last podcast that we had, I said that CeeDee Lamb's going to be wide receiver 1 for Dynasty redrafts next season. So with him being right in front of me,
you got to take it.
This is my brand now at this point that I had to really do. So I'm going to stick with running backs though, and I'm going to go with J.K. Dobbins. It was another player who last time when we were on the podcast, I spoke highly of him, and I said that we're going to talk about J.K. Dobbins in the same way that we're talking about Jonathan Taylor this year. And so if that's the case, if both of those things come true, it's a hell of a squad that I got right there with CeeDee Lamb and then J.K. Dobbins.
You're staying on brand, man. You've got CeeDee Lamb, you got J.K. Dobbins. You put your money where your mouth is. You're going CeeDee Lamb, J.K. Dobbins are at the turn. Afterwards, we saw DeAndre Swift, Joe Mixon, Darren Waller, Josh Jacobs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Josh Jacobs going before CEH is interesting to me. And then David Montgomery there. So I am now up at the 308. I'm looking at wide receiver here. And, I've got Nick Chubb. I've got Najee Harris. I don't want to let some of these wide receivers go before the depth dries up there. So I'm going to go here, not Jamar Chase. I'm going to go with Allen Robinson, the guy who we know what he brings to the table. We've already seen it. We know that he is an incredibly talented wide receiver, still relatively young for the position. He's been in the league how many years now? And he's still only 27 or 28 years old. So
that is crazy.
Isn't that? And he's now playing with the best quarterbacks of his career, even if that is Andy Dalton to start the season. That is the best quarterback that he has played with in his career, and he's putting up ridiculous numbers. So Allen Robinson there at the 308, I had to.
Not going to lie, I didn't think that you were going to say Andy Dalton's name there, but you know what? You got it, buddy.
Hey, obviously Justin Fields greater than Andy Dalton, but
of course,
goes to show that he is still playing.
It's just simple math. We all learned that in high school.
It is. All right. So here at the 405, after Josh Allen, Terry McLaurin, Miles Sanders, Chris Godwin, and DJ Moore at the turn, Jamar Chase did go off the board at the 403. If you do want to follow along with this draft, you can see this over at youtube.com/fantasypros. We got the draft board laid out for you there. I'm going to go with T. Higgins here at the 405. A little early to go with T. Higgins, maybe, but I'm still a big fan of what he brings to the table. We know that there's a significant opportunity in this offense for him. They're going to be passing the ball a ton. He's attached to Joe Burrow, who I had as graded significantly higher than even Trevor Lawrence coming out this year. So I am a big fan of Joe Burrow, big fan of where this offense is going. As far as personnel, I will go T. Higgins here at the 405. Trev, you are now up on the clock at the 412 and 501.
Oh, Kyle Pitts went 2 picks before me. I was really eyeing Kyle Pitts. I didn't think that I was going to get him though. Higgins is off the board. Amari Cooper's off the board. Chris Carson, Kenny Golladay, Travis Etienne, Kyle Pitts, and Mike Evans. Those are the picks there. So I got back-to-back. I'm going to go with Jerry Jeudy as one of my selections. I love Jerry Jeudy. I think that he is going to absolutely take over the league. I think that it's only a matter of time. And with me getting CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy, I think that those are 2 names that are going to be the future of the NFL. I really do. So I think I got 2 studs there at receiver. I don't normally love picking receiver, 2 receivers out of the first 2 selections, but I guess I got to be okay with it because it's the guys that I wanted. Oh, man. As I'm looking at the rest of the group here, you know what? I'll go Dak Prescott. I'll go Dak Prescott as a quarterback. This draft is not really going the way that I thought it was going to go. I went into this thinking I was probably going to have a different strategy here, but I love my players, and I think that's that's the important part here. And you talk about dynasty, it's team management. It's not necessarily just one draft. It's how you're gonna build a core and then build around them. And so, man, with the 5 guys that I got already, they're young, they're good, they're already established, and I'm a big fan of this draft.
For sure. All right, so we had Travis Etienne go before Trev's pick. Just some notable names here. Brandon Ayuk, Kareem Hunt after, Cooper Kupp, Myles Gaskin, Cortland Sutton, and then Javonte Williams, 1 pick before me. I would have loved to snag Javonte Williams there at the 508, but he went off the board 1 pick ahead of me. I'm going to go with a guy that I've talked about on the Bold Prediction Show, not on the Dynasty Bold Predictions, but on our main podcast, the Fantasy Pros Football Podcast. I talked about how Robert Woods could be a top 5 receiver this year. So I want pieces of the Los Angeles Rams offense.
Love it.
I'm going to go Robert Woods here to be my wide receiver 3 to go with Allen Robinson and T. Higgins.
Love it, baby. Wide receiver 1 in the 2013 draft. I think it was the 2013 draft. I had Robert Woods as my wide receiver 1, so I'm always a big Robert Woods guy.
All right, so then Mike Davis, Ronald Jones, James Robinson, Trey Sermon went off the board here, Damian Harris. Trev, running back, starting to dry up a little bit here.
Ooh, yeah,
it's starting to get a little thin here. So I'm going to grab one of my guys, the guy that I am talking about nonstop over on the Fantasy Pros Football Podcast. That is Michael Carter, the running back for the New York Jets here. He's got a very significant opportunity in front of him to step in and be the 1A in this backfield behind an offensive line that's a beefy offensive line. They're going to move some people. So Michael Carter here at the 605.
Okay, all right. That puts me up, and man, I need some running backs. Man. Oh my goodness, he went right before me. I just noticed this. Oh, Why would you do this exercise to me? Why would you put me through this, Kyle? This is absolute torture. I was going to draft Raheem Mostert, and he was like way down the line. Like he was in the tier 5, and so there were, I think, 6 names in front of him. I was like, oh, okay, I got him. We're all good. And he goes to pick before me, so look at that. Chase Claypool's also off the board. Michael Thomas finally going off the board in the 6th round. Tyler Lockett as well. Oh, man. I really would have felt good about myself if I was able to get Raheem Mostert there. I think I got to take the chance on this and pick Cam Akers because Cam is still left, and it's an Achilles injury, and that's always really, really hard to come back from. And I really didn't think that I was going to be touching Akers, but with my team going the way that it is, with it being as young as it is, I'm clearly building towards the future. And Cam's extremely talented. I think that he'll have every chance to continue to be the Rams starting running back next year. It's just Achilles injuries are tough, man. They just are. There's a big risk there with it. Next selection, I would have gone with Raheem Mostert. I would have, but now he's not there. I'll go with Devontae Smith. I'll keep the youth movement going, man. I'll keep this strong, and I'll pick Devontae Smith because even though I've got a lot of really young players on this team, they're guys that are clearly going to be starters and big-time contributors in their first year and second year. And so, man, I just got a really youthful squad here, but I got a lot of really talented guys. So I'll go Devontae Smith, the wide receiver 1 for the Eagles.
And this is part of what we talk about, where it's like you go into a draft and there are so many questions that we get are like, should I have this set strategy going into a draft? And we always say, like, no, don't go into it with a set strategy. You got to see how the first couple rounds play out. And then from there, you can kind of see how your team is shaping up to be. And with Trevor, he's going into it saying, I've got a lot of young guys here, right? CeeDee Lamb, 2nd year wide receiver. J.K. Dobbins, 2nd year. Jerry Jeudy, 2nd year, right? Cam Akers, 2nd year, but he's going to be out the entire year. Devontae Smith, a rookie. Like, it just happened to be that this is where your team is going, where you might not be ready to compete for a championship in year 1, but year 2, year 3, man, you're building a solid roster.
Setting it up.
Talk about rookie wide receivers. Let's add another one here. I'm going to go with Jalen Waddle. I am trying to find the balance there of the veteran wide receivers and the younger guys. So Allen Robinson and Robert Woods to help steady my team, to help carry it. I know what they bring to the table. And then T. Higgins and Jalen Waddle, some guys that have enormous potential. So Jalen Waddle here at the 708. We got DJ Chark, TJ Hawkinson, Noah Fant. A couple tight ends go off the board there in the 7th round. And then a couple of quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, Joe Burrow at the in the 8th round here. So Will Fuller right before my pick. I'm now up at the 805. I'm going to start thinking about quarterback here. What's the direction that I want to go? And you know what? I'm adding my guy. Who I think is going to be a top 5 potential quarterback in dynasty leagues. I'm going to go Trey Lance here. So I will add him here. And then I will add, if he doesn't come out in week 1, I've got to add someone else as a quarterback. But again, I've got 24 rounds to be able to do that. So I'm going to add another quarterback who at least provides me some stability until Trey Lance steps in. I'll do that later on. Trey Lance here at the 805.
All right, I got to pick a running back at this point. So I've got to be able to beef things up a little bit. And so I'm going to go with Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard is still here. I think that Tony Pollard is just a big, very popular name in dynasty formats because of the flashes that he's been able to show. Now, Ezekiel Elliott's in front of him. And as long as Ezekiel Elliott is in front of him, Pollard's probably not going to play. But, with Elliott kind of coming on to midway between that contract right there, and Tony Pollard also coming up to the end of his rookie deal, some changes could be coming. And either it's maybe we're seeing Ezekiel Elliott move from Dallas, or maybe we're just seeing Tony Pollard move on to another team and maybe get another opportunity. So I'll go Tony Pollard here, and then I'll go back to the big board. I'll see who's there. I'm scanning the field. I'm scanning the board. Man, okay, so this is a instance where, like Kyle said, sometimes you go into a draft and you have one thought process and the draft board falls a different way and you kind of have to adapt to it on the fly. I'm clearly building my team for the future. And because of that, I'm going to go with Rashad Bateman. I'm going to pick Bateman because I think that Bateman has an incredibly bright future. Now, is he going to help me out right away? No, maybe not. Not only because he's hurt, but it's going to take a little bit of time for that Ravens offense to acclimate to him being the focal point of that passing game, but I think it's coming. And so again, this is an instance where if you are building a team for the first time, if you start finding yourself you're in a youth movement, lean into that curve. Make sure it's the best team it can be 2-3 years down the road. So I'll go Rashad Bateman here.
Yeah, I like that pick, and especially Tony Pollard, too, when you look at the running back depth coming up here. I need another running back, and I am now looking at the board and going, probably should have grabbed a couple more earlier because it is pretty thin. So, all right, I am now up at the 908 after guys like Curtis Samuel, Jarvis Landry, Michael Pittman Jr. went off at the 905. I wanted him on my roster. Did not get him. I'm going to go with a guy who I think has value here this upcoming season in 2021, but is also a free agent after this year. Could end up being a wide receiver 1 for another team here. Michael Gallup.
I like it.
Gallup is going to be playing out of the slot a lot more. We've already seen that here in the preseason. They had CeeDee Lamb lining up primarily outside in the preseason there. So Michael Gallup, I think, is going to have his opportunity this year. I think he's going to be really, really good and really, really productive. He's a great wide receiver. But then I think next year we could see him cash in big in free agency. So as my wide receiver 5, I can allow him to sit. I don't have to rule him out if he doesn't end up being productive. But then next year, this is about the dynasty angle and thinking about the future there. So Antonio Brown, Mike Williams, Marquise Brown, a couple of wide receivers that go off the board, and then plenty of running backs there. Kenyon Drake, David Johnson, A.J. Dillon, James Conner, Gus Edwards, all off the board. I'm now up at the 10:05, and I'm looking at guys like Devin Singletary, Nyheim Hines, Kenneth Gainwell, Tariq Cohen. I don't want any of these guys.
Not right now, at least. Maybe you can get some potential for the future, but not right now.
And I was just talking about this on a mock draft that we did on the Fantasy Pros Football Podcast, where if the value is not there, if you have to reach significantly to go get a position of need, don't do that. Don't freak out. Don't panic. The draft is not done. It's done for us in a mock draft, but in your actual draft, the league doesn't stop after the draft. So you can make some of these trades. You can make some of these moves. And you have, by playing the value game, by grabbing some players that are right there at the top of the board that may be falling to you, you have valuable trade chips to be able to trade off, especially in Dynasty. So I went Darnell Mooney here at the 10:05. Darnell Mooney ain't going to be a 10th round pick next year when you're doing startup drafts. He's going to be way higher than that. So Darnell Mooney here, getting him here as my wide receiver 6. I love that value on him.
All right, I got a little bit of a long-term plan here for my next couple of picks, but with this first selection, with my first back-to-back here, I'm going to go with Rondale Moore. Love Rondale Moore. I loved what I was able to see from him in his first game in his Arizona Cardinals uniform. Not only did they get him involved in the passing game, but also the running game. And it feels like Cliff Kingsbury is going to do whatever he can to make sure that guy's a focal point. I mean, yes, it's a little bit of a crowded room right now with DeAndre Hopkins and A.J. Green, Andy Isabella, Christian Kirk, Rondale Moore being there now. But you project a year from now, the 33-year-old A.J. Green, no guarantee he's back. Andy Isabella might get cut now. And Christian Kirk's on the last year of his rookie deal. 1 year from now, it might literally be DeAndre Hopkins and Rondale Moore's show in Arizona. So I'm going to go with those two guys there. And then I'm going to break your heart here. Kyle. Because I'm about to take your boy. I'm about to take your boy.
Don't do it.
I'm taking Johnny Smith as my tight end.
Trevor.
I also love Jonnu Smith.
I was taking him here at the 11:08. If he was still there, 100%.
Not as much as you do, but I really need him on the team, so I needed a good tight end there. So yeah, I'm sorry I had to do it to you, buddy.
All right. Well, now I'm scrambling because that was literally my pick. All right. So I am looking now, again, going back to the running back position. I've got guys like Alexander Mattison, Kenneth Gainwell still at the top of the board. I'm really not hell-bent on adding one of those guys. Do I want to play? It's a 1 QB format. I don't want to do that.
It's a 1 QB.
Justin Fields is still sitting there, and I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bring in that steady presence here at the quarterback position. Again, looking at value. I don't want to reach on a wide receiver. I don't want to reach on a running back because there are none. And then tight end, I think that I can get him at the next pick. So I'm going to go Ryan Tannehill here. The definition of consistency. So pairing Ryan Tannehill with Trey Lance, I can wait several rounds if I even want to grab a third quarterback here in this format. So Ryan Tannehill to be that starter for me, and then Trey Lance can eventually step in as the QB1 that I think that he can be. So love that pairing there. We got Tariq Cohen, Alexander Mattison, another running back run here. Just goes to show how desperate these teams are for running back. James White, J.D. McKissick, Phillip Lindsay. Irv Smith goes one pick before me. This puts me into the range here. I knew that I could get this guy at my next pick. I talked about the Los Angeles Rams offense. I want pieces of it. Tyler Higbee here to be my tight end one in this format here in the 12th round of a dynasty startup. Now, he's a little bit older for a tight end. I'm going to need to get a younger tight end here, but still got plenty of rounds left in this startup draft. I am going to go Tyler Higbee here, who I think has top 5 potential at the tight end position this year.
They did it again, Kyle. They did it again. I was going to pick Marlon Mack, and he goes one pick before. Who is this? Who is this owner? What is his team name?
Your worst nightmare.
Team 2. I hate you. Whoever's in charge of this, wherever you are, I absolutely hate you. So, yeah, man, I was going to pick Marlon Mack because I actually like Marlon Mack as a long-term dynasty stash because, yeah, he's probably not going to get a lot of work in Indianapolis this year, but he could be in a situation where he goes to another team next year, heals up, and he has an Achilles injury too, so that kind of sucks. But, he showed a lot of really great flashes with the Indianapolis Colts when he was fully healthy. So he's a guy that I think you take a chance on. But I'll go with another young running back. I'll go with Kenneth Gainwell here. He's a player who, we've looked at Antonio Gibson's usage last year as this kind of hybrid wide receiver running back player. And Gibson's stronger. He's bigger. He's more athletic. But Gainwell gives you a lot to love. And so with a lot of uncertainty in Philadelphia, I'll take the talented Gainwell there. And then I'm going to go with another rookie coming in because we're just leaning on youth now at this point. That's clearly where my team is going. And I'll go Ramondre Stevenson, the running back with the New England Patriots. Yeah, it's a crowded running back room right now with New England, but he's a unique guy. He's got some unique speed for his size, and I think that the Patriots are going to potentially utilize that more and more over the next couple of years. So 2 rookie running backs there for me back to back.
All right, I need running back so badly.
Man, you see Kerryon Johnson sitting here at like RB 64, basically.
Man,
that's nuts.
Fall from grace.
Crazy.
I am going to go here with a guy who I do think that can provide some value here this upcoming season, especially as a pass catcher out of that backfield. Again, just looking at these guys who can contribute and trying to find those dart throws from the end of my dynasty roster. I'm going to go Darrynton Evans here, the running back for the Tennessee Titans. Okay. I think to be that change of pace for Derrick Henry, they could involve him as a pass catcher out of the backfield. I actually really liked his film coming out of App State. So Darrynton Evans here. We got Malcolm Brown, Damian Williams, Joshua Kelly as the running backs that go off the board in the 13-14 turn there. Cole Kmet, Terrace Marshall, Austin Hooper, Evan Ingram, and then Marvin Jones right before my pick. I could go with I could go another running back here, but I think that I can wait to get this guy. I know that I probably don't think anyone's going to grab him. I'm going to go with Amon-Ra St. Brown here, the wide receiver for the Detroit Lions. Love what he can do, and especially too with some of these rookie wide receivers and these wide receivers that you're getting late. These are the type of players that I want to take shots on these guys that can produce right away, that have the potential to hit right away, because then I can take them and I can flip them. And if I need to, if Amon-Ra comes out as I think that he can and be the target leader for this Lions team in year 1, then I have the potential to be able to flip him for a running back. I can move up several rounds as far as value to be able to grab a running back here because I still do need to balance up my roster. Again, the draft is not done, or the league is not done once your draft concludes. So, all right, you are now up at the 14-12.
Yeah, speaking of potentially flipping players, I picked Dak Prescott pretty early. I picked him in round 5, and now Justin Fields is still sitting here, and I'm going to draft Justin Fields, man. I'm going to look to see if I can hit a home run with him in the 14th round, and one of them, I guarantee it is going to hit as a quarterback. And so I think that best case scenario, both of them do. Maybe I get some really great trade pieces from him. So I'm going to go Justin Fields. Oh, is there a running back worth taking? No. Oh man, this is such a barren list right now. Oh, okay. So I'm going to go back over to wide receiver then. Denzel Mims, Kadarius Toney are the 2 guys at the top. I still have faith in Kadarius Toney, but I tried to tell you guys this was going to be a long-term plan with him, and when he wasn't getting action in the first preseason game, that's why. I'll go with Dyami Brown instead. I think that he's going to be a player who gets to contribute in year 1 and has a pretty great role and future with that Washington football team moving forward. So I'll go Dyami Brown here.
Yeah, I had him queued up, so it's a great pick there. All right, I am going to go to the tight end position here. I grabbed Tyler Higbee earlier, mentioned that he is a little bit older here, so I can start him in year 1, and then potentially in year 2, I can roll out this guy who you and I talked about. I think this was over on the Draft Network YouTube channel where I talked about Pat Freiermuth being a potential pick in the first round, even for Jacksonville, and he ends up falling in the NFL draft to the second round. Pittsburgh scoops him up. I think this is an incredibly talented football player, and I think that he's going to make an impact here down the road once Eric Ebron moves on. So Pat Freiermuth there in the 15th round. Then we got Nelson Aguilar, Adam Troutman, Jamison Crowder, Kirk Cousins, Russell Gage, and then a quarterback run here. Matt Ryan, Zach Wilson, Daniel Jones, all off the board. I am looking at the running back position here, and I'm going to go with a guy who I might not be able to get a ton from in year 1, and I want your opinion on this as a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan. I'm going to go Keyshawn Vaughn here. I loved Keyshawn Vaughn coming out of Vanderbilt. I think that he has improved his game as a receiver out of the backfield, which is a role that they desperately need filled here. He's still got the draft capital to his name. He is fighting for the 4th running back spot on this roster, so he's going to need to contribute on special teams to hang around when you've got Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette, and Giovanni Bernard here in this backfield. But this is a long-term approach here. Next year, this situation could open up here for Keyshawn Vaughn to be a starter in this offense. So Vaughn here in the 16th round.
No doubt. I don't know if he's going to be a starter next year, but I think that he could have a pretty strong role next season with Gio Bernard and Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones, and who knows what it's going to shake up to be. And I like Keyshawn Vaughn, man. I didn't love him when he was coming out. I thought he had a little bit of athletic limitations, but I think he's a really hard runner. I think he's got good vision. I think he's got pretty good burst. And so, yeah, he struggled his rookie year, but he's a rookie. Like, you got to give these guys time. I think he'll be totally fine. I'm going to stick with another Buccaneer here, and I'm going to go with O.J. Howard. I already have Jonnu Smith on my team, but getting Howard as a good backup option and kind of just betting on his athleticism, whether he's going to be in Tampa Bay or maybe not, who knows? But they don't make him like O.J. Howard. You know what I'm saying? They don't make many tight ends like this dude, so he's worth betting on. And then I'm going to go back to the wide receiver and I'm going to go with Van Jefferson. I think that Jefferson, yes, he's buried a little bit currently with the Los Angeles Rams, but what Van Jefferson does really well as a stud separator, that's going to play no matter what team you're on. He doesn't just have to be on the Rams to be successful. And maybe it does end up being with the Rams, or maybe he gets moved on to another team. But I think that somewhere along his career, Van Jefferson is going to be a pretty damn good wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3.
Yeah, and you're going to be hanging on to him for a while. He's a player that you need for that opportunity to open up, but definitely has the talent. All right, so in the 17th round, I went with KJ Hamler here, the speed demon out of Penn State. I loved his tape. Loved his tape coming out, and so for him to finally be healthy, for him to have that huge touchdown in the first preseason game from Drew Lock, you see the arm talent there. If it is Drew Lock starting, then KJ Hamler could be more of a factor than a lot of people are realizing here. So KJ Hamler added to the team in the 17th round. We got Jeffrey Wilson, Rakeem Boyd, J.J. Taylor, Caleb Huntley. We're starting to see the running back position be pretty gross here in the 18th round. So off the field concerns. I know, right? Off the field concerns aside, as I said the name, I was like, that doesn't make any sense, but that's where he's ranked. All right. I am going to go here with Deshaun Watson. And, I know that off the field issues and that some people are not going to want to touch him, but 18th round of a 1 QB startup, I can't not take the shot on him here, especially when you're considering that I might be going with Blake Jarwin or Zach Ertz, Amari Rodgers, some of these other guys in this range. It's like, this is worth the risk at this point. He might not play at all in 2021. Who knows what that situation is going to look like, but I don't need him to. I got Ryan Tannehill, I've got Trey Lance, adding Deshaun Watson here in the 18th round, and this is really just because you look at the other players in this range, I really don't want any of them. So Deshaun Watson here in the 18th round.
Yeah, these are the big-time stash players now. We've got, 7 rounds left in this draft, and so you're picking a lot of guys that you just hope have really bright futures one day. I'm going to go with Josh Palmer, the wide receiver from the Los Angeles Chargers. I think there's a chance, depending on what happens with Mike Williams, that he could see a big uptick in playing time next season. Apparently, the Chargers really, really love him, and I guess I got to pick a running back, right? I mean, I got to pick somebody out here. I guess I'll pick Justice Hill. I'll keep the train living, baby. Everybody was like, I'm picking so many times people have been like, yeah, this dude's the future, and he's just never had the chance to be in Baltimore. I'm not sure it's ever going to come in Baltimore, but maybe it comes with a different team. So I'll stash him on the roster here.
All right, I am looking at the wide receiver position here. I'm grabbing a guy that both of you and I loved coming out. That is Dwayne Eskridge here. We haven't seen him play yet in training camp or in the preseason because he is on the PUP, but apparently coming off the PUP this week, and we're going to get to see what he can do in this offense. I think we're going to see some special stuff here. So 19th round, I'll go Dwayne Eskridge.
Nice.
And then we've got Nico Collins, Anthony McFarland, Matt Breida, Samaje Perine. That's a good pick for Samaje Perine. Value at this point of the draft. Jonathan Williams,
Scarborough.
Jason Huntley. I didn't know Bo Scarborough was on Las Vegas. There we go.
I didn't know that either.
Ty Johnson goes the pick before. That's a good pick, too. He could have a role this year. And at this point of the draft, you're just looking for guys that have potential roles. And I'm going to go with a guy who I think is making a name for himself here as the potential third running back in Green Bay, and I think could force his way onto the field. I don't know how he lasted until, the 7th round? Kylan Hill. Kylan Hill, I don't understand why he lasted until the 7th round of the NFL draft. I loved him as a pass-catching back out of the backfield. He's showing that here in Green Bay. Kylan Hill here in the 20th round.
Yeah, I mean, he's much more talented than you would think as a 7th rounder. Don't know. That's the part of the scouting process that we don't get a lot of access to, is when you get to interview these guys. And I'm not saying that Kylan's like a bad character dude. I mean, we all knew what he did was an activist for the state of Mississippi and everything like that. But like, I'm just saying, clearly when you watch this dude on tape, he ain't a 7th rounder. So I don't know how he lasted until the 7th round. I think he's a lot more talented than that. Is it worth going wide receiver? I got so many wide receivers. Probably not. Is there a tight end that's any good? Zach Ertz, Eric Ebron, Anthony Ferguson? No. I mean, like, I don't really love any of these guys. I don't think they're making a really big impact. I already got my quarterbacks. There's nobody else worth picking. You already made the Deshaun Watson move there. I guess I'll go Elijah Mitchell, the running back for the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, like, I could see a way that they really like him, but I also feel like it's much more obvious that they would start Trey Sermon, or that they would invest Trey Sermon more than they would Elijah Mitchell. But Mitchell's big. He's a big dude, and I guess he's pretty unique in that way. Wide receiver, I'm not picking Tutu Atwell. Don't even.
I think, I will say this. I loathed the Tutu Atwell pick, and the only person who I think hates that pick more than me is you.
Is currently on this podcast with you.
Is currently on this podcast. I don't think that you and I have ever talked about that yet, but I've seen some of your other stuff where you've talked about the Tutu Atwell pick, and I'm like, complete agreement. I had the exact same reaction.
If the Los Angeles Rams picked Tutu Atwell in like the 5th or 6th round, then I would have been like, all right, cool. Yeah, he's got some speed. They picked him in the 2nd round with their first selection.
Terrace Marshall.
I can't do it. I just can't do it. I'm picking Jalen Darden. All that being said, Jalen Darden.
Dang it, I didn't see him on the board.
Darden, that's a good pick. Yeah, you didn't see him on the board because he's way down there for wide receivers. But like the dude's having an awesome camp, and so going with Jalen Darden.
Yeah, that's a good pick. All right, I'm going to go with a running back who I've talked about here as a deep sleeper this upcoming season and has some dynasty value, long-term value. I'm going to go Larry Roundtree III, the running back for the Los Angeles Chargers. There is a role here for that 1B in this backfield to be the goal line back in a potentially very, very strong offense. So Larry Roundtree in the 21st round. Crazy. All right, so then we got Eno Benjamin, Mike Boone, DJ Dallas, Quadri Allison, some running backs that go off the board. Donovan Peoples-Jones, I was thinking about taking him at that last pick. He's showing out here for Cleveland. He's a really, really talented wide receiver. All right, I'm going to go with it's very hard at this point of the draft to find starters in their respective offenses. Keelan Cole is a starter in his offense, and I think that he's going to maintain that role. I've been a Keelan Cole truther for the past 3 or 4 years, and was like, just give him an opportunity. And then when he got the opportunity, it was like, give him a quarterback. And so he now is in New York, 2205, the overall pick there. So I will go Keelan Cole.
All right, I'll go young tight end here. I'll go Brevin Jordan for one of my last picks. I mean, this is clearly just a big-time flyer pick, but I don't really know what's happening with the Houston Texans, and he's in Houston. One would say, that's a reason why you shouldn't invest in him. But at the same time, whatever's probably coming next for Houston, whenever they finally get some stability, maybe Brevin Jordan separates himself. Maybe he turns into that tight end, wide receiver, big slot kind of a player that they utilize a lot. I mean, I know he got a lot of production there at Miami, so you just take a chance on him. Maybe that'll end up being a thing there. Wide receiver, running back. Oh, Smith is still here. Chris Evans, Jarrett Patterson. All right. Okay, I'll go Jarrett Patterson. That's a name that I recognize and I can have a little bit of faith in. So we'll go Washington football running back, Jarrett Patterson.
All right, so I am now up at the 2308. Got only 2 picks left in this mock draft. I am looking at the wide receiver position here. I had someone queued up. There we go. I'm going to take James Washington here and the Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver. And this is on the basis that he has requested a trade from the Pittsburgh Steelers. So he's not going to be someone who I think contributes a ton unless there is an injury, in Pittsburgh above him on the depth chart, but could end up finding his way to a different roster where he ends up as a starter. So 23rd round, my second to last pick, I'll take the shot on James Washington, ending up somewhere else.
All right.
All right, and then...
This is your last pick, right?
Last pick here. So I am looking at a guy who... Let's just take a dart throw here. And this is going to be the guy that if we do see someone pop up on the waiver wire in Dynasty Leagues that I can cut and I can move on from, I'm going to draft a guy that I absolutely love in Dynasty Leagues. I'm going to go Devin Duvernay here, the wide receiver for the Baltimore Ravens. Love his talent, love his speed. And then we've also got some injuries here and above him on the depth chart in Baltimore where we could see Devin Duvernay come out as a starter in this offense in week 1 and actually carve out a role for himself here. So Devin Duvernay worth the shot in the 24th round. You are up with the final pick of the entire draft, Trevor.
All right, I'm taking the chance. I'm doing it. I'm keeping the hive alive. We believe. Jalen Hurd, wide receiver, San Francisco 49ers. I believe, baby. I'm not giving up on him.
Oh,
his head coach might give up on him, but
his head coach might give up on him. Yep. There. 2 years from now, I'll check back in with you in this fictitious mock draft, and we'll find out.
What grade did you get?
Yeah. So I was going to ask you. I got a 92 out of 100.
I got a 95 out of 100. Let's go.
All right.
Baby. Projected standings? Okay, wait. Let's see what the projected standings are.
Yeah, man. This is our... I'm going to show you this over on our YouTube channel. If you have not seen this, this is incredible. Our dev team does a phenomenal job of breaking this down. You and I are projected for first and second.
As it should be, baby.
That is not how that should be.
Yes, it is.
No.
You and I at the top with the correct name above the other.
No, that is incorrect. Yeah, so we've got some really awesome things here where you can do a summary, you can do expert opinions, see which experts in the industry like your team the most. Steals and reaches, we've got some highlights here where you can look through and see some steals there that you walked away with, pick analysis, team strengths, and then the overall draft board, again, can all be found when you're using the draft wizard over at FantasyPros.com. All right, Trev. Fantastic mock draft, man. That was a ton of fun. You want to run through your entire squad here one last time before we get out of here?
All right, let me take a deep breath here. 24 guys. Christian McCaffrey at the top, then CeeDee Lamb, J.K. Dobbins, Jerry Jeudy, Dak Prescott, Cam Akers, Devontae Smith, Tony Pollard, Rashad Bateman, Rondale Moore, Jonnu Smith, Kenneth Gainwell, Ramondre Stevenson, Justin Fields in the 14th round, people.
Fantastic.
Diami Brown, O.J. Howard, Van Jefferson, Josh Palmer, Justice Hill, Elijah Mitchell, Jalen Darden, Brevin Jordan, Jarrett Patterson, and finally, Jalen Hurd.
All right, I'm going to go by round here. I've got Nick Chubb in the first, Najee Harris, Allen Robinson, T. Higgins, Robert Woods, Michael Carter, Jalen Waddle, Trey Lance, Michael Gallup, Darnell Mooney, Ryan Tannehill, Tyler Higbee, Darrington Evans, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Pat Freiermuth, Keyshawn Vaughn, KJ Hamler, Deshaun Watson, Dwayne Eskridge, Kylan Hill, Larry Roundtree III, Keelan Cole, James Washington, and Devin Duvernay to round it out, man. All right. Ton of fun. Guys, let us know in the YouTube comments which team that you prefer. If you think that order should be Trevor Sigma at the top and then Kyle Yates, or if you think it should be Kyle Yates and then Trevor Sigma, let us know in the YouTube comments there, or reach out to us on Twitter again at KyleY NFL and at Tampa Bay Trey. I want to talk about, Trevor, really quick before we get out of here. I want to talk about the future direction of the podcast because we've got some news here that we want to let the people know about. So I want to turn this over to you and just let you talk here. So future direction of the podcast.
Yes.
What are your thoughts here?
Yes. It is with a heavy heart that I say that not this episode, but the next episode that Kyle and I do will be the last episode that I am on this podcast. And I am super sad about it. It's bittersweet. The reason why I'm leaving the podcast is I just got a full-time job opportunity where it's going to involve a lot of changing parts and me moving to a different city. And I can't exactly say where I'm going quite yet, but it was an opportunity that really kind of came out of nowhere. And because of it, I'm no longer going to be able to do this podcast with Kyle, which really, really sucks because I have enjoyed doing this so much. You guys and the listeners have embraced me so quickly. I've interacted with so many of you on YouTube, on Twitter, on everything. And I hate to be saying goodbye as the co-host of this podcast. I absolutely love working with Kyle. I know that Kyle has gone through like 2 co-hosts now, like in the middle of the summer. And I want to make sure that everybody out there knows that the reason I'm leaving has nothing to do with Kyle or Fantasy Pros. It is a world-class company with world-class people who are working in it. It's been so much fun getting to work with them, but this was simply an opportunity that I'm excited to share with you guys, but it was one that I believe it was the right decision for me in my career and in my life, and it was something that I just had to take. So unfortunately, that means that next episode, buddy, that's going to be our last one as co-host. I mean, you and I are going to be doing podcasts plenty, I think, from here on out. But I just wanted to let everybody know that, and honestly say thank you to everybody out there who has interacted with me and followed me and made this podcast, for as short-lived as it was for me, an absolute blast. It's been so much fun working with Kyle and getting to talk with all of you guys. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that. I didn't want him to blindside him on the last episode or anything.
Yeah, for sure. And, I'm bummed that we're not going to be able to do this podcast together routinely and regularly moving forward. But, this is an awesome opportunity for you. And to be able to take things that, and I've done this life where I've had different part-time jobs here and there, and I've tried to piece it all together. And to be able to have everything just under one roof is such a relief, and it's such a stress relief. So if I were if I were in your shoes, I would be doing the exact same thing. Like it is a no-brainer decision for you. And again, I don't want to give anything away, but like where you're going, fantastic company. It's going to be great to see you in that role. So moving forward, what this podcast, we are not stopping the podcast. I'm going to keep doing this podcast for you guys, especially as we move into the season. You guys have been just fantastic, reaching out saying that you love this podcast. I don't want to stop that for you. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be moving forward with guests. And this is something where, we've got Ray, who was on in a contract role, and he had stuff that had going on outside of, in life stuff, and he had to make a decision and totally support that, get that. Same thing with Trevor. It's very difficult to try to keep that routine going with people that aren't full-time, right? Who aren't like full-time dedicated to this company. So what we're going to do is I'm going to be the host of this podcast moving forward, and we're going to be bringing on guests. And guys, the guests that I'm talking to that we're going to bring on, fantastic people. So make sure that you are staying tuned here to the Fantasy Pros Dynasty Football Podcast. You are not going to want to miss an episode, especially as we move into the season. So I'll be more in touch, and we'll be talking about what the schedule is going to look like moving forward and all that. But please stay tuned here to the Fantasy Pros Dynasty Football Podcast. You are not going to want to miss an episode. All right, that'll do it for today's show. Thank you so much to Reality Sports Online for sponsoring today's podcast. Make sure to head over to realitysportsonline.com to learn more about what they've got going on. Trevor, appreciate you, man. So excited for you from the bottom of my heart. And make sure that you hear that, man, that I'm so excited for you and where you're going, where you're, you're moving up, man. And it's so exciting to see where you're going to go and what you're going to be doing. I mean, even a year from now, I can't wait to see what you're going to be doing.
I'm very thankful for those words, man. I appreciate it. And hey, we got one more podcast we're going to do, and we're going to make it the best one yet. All right.
Absolutely. All right. For Trevor Sycamore, I'm Kyle Yates, and we'll see you next time.
Looking for useful content, fantasy-relevant information, and the data that can help your team win? Then make sure to subscribe to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. And while you're at it, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Fantasy Pros so we can help you dominate your league all season long.